gentlemen, what the world's been waiting for, what the world needs now, the one, the only, amazing, original Johnny Blaze. Often imitated, but never duplicated. There's Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the amazing original Johnny Blaze Show. It's always great to be here as I blaze right above my karate kick. Let's have a blazing hot fun time. A patient calls his doctor. Hey doc, I want to thank you for that great medicine you gave me. The doctor said, I'm glad these pills helped you. The man replied, actually, I gave the pills to my uncle. He took them and dropped dead of a heart attack. I'm his only heir. Thanks again, doc. A son asked his father a question. Hey, does Washington's face still appear on the dollar bill? The father replied, yes, of course it is. Why do you ask? The son answered, because we haven't seen one in a long time. A man walked into a pharmacy and he asked the man behind the counter, how much for a pack of condoms? $5 plus tax, the pharmacist replies. The man says, tax? Don't they stay on without thumbtacks? A man set a world's record by watching the movie Star Wars 10,000 times. A reporter asked the man, what made you watch the same movie so many times? The man replied, I kept thinking to myself, this time Darth Vader has got to win. We have a blazing hot fun show with a special guest. She's a singer, a songwriter, recording artist, producer, vocal coach, speaker, and podcast host. Please give a big warm welcome and say hello to Judy Rodman. Hello, Judy Rodman.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. Okay, great. You must be hearing me through my webcam. So, because my little cord pulled out of my Apollo, so I'm not going to be able to use the. Is my sound okay for you?
Yeah, sounds fine, Judy.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, the amazing original Johnny Blaze Show, Judy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be with you. You got a great show. I've watched a little bit of some of the episodes and great. Well, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you're here. That's for sure. Yeah.
Judy, give me a rundown. Tell me about the Judy Rodman story. How did you get started in entertainment, and where are you from?
Well, I got started like when I was born, practically, because my family always sang and did music together. My father was an air traffic controller, so I've been doing it since birth. And I started singing background parts when I was 2. So I actually became a professional jingle singer when I was 17 and realized I could make money doing it. So it went from there and kept on going through lots of brick walls and that turned into turning points. And every time I hit a brick wall, it really was just, I learned to trust the journey. So I've worn a lot of different hats in the business and learned a lot of different things and found that they segued into each other too. So, I can tell you about whatever it is you want to know.
That's phenomenal. I'm looking forward to that. I'm highly excited about it. Judy, now you say you did jingles. So talk to me about your jingles. Exactly what kind of jingles did you do? You say background jingles for singing?
Yeah, I sang for a company called the Tanner Corporation, and we did at the time about 75% of the world's jingles and radio ID packages. This was in the 70s. And this was way before there was any tuning involved. Editing involved blood with your fingertips being, cutting the tape up with razor blades. So we had to learn to be really good. And I sang from 8:30 to 3:30 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. And, we did all kinds of national and regional and local jingles. And, then I moved to Nashville after I did that and a bunch of background work as well in a bunch of studios in Memphis. This was in Memphis. And then we moved to Nashville and I kept on doing jingles and some more national spots and things like that. And then also on some top records that I was very lucky to be a part of with some of the top groups that were doing all the background parts. Since I knew what I was doing, I'd had all that training in Memphis. I, jumped on board pretty much the session work in Nashville. And then I was doing background vocals for, is this what you want to know?
Yeah, I'd like to know some of the people, the important people, the celebrities that you work with and that you met and work with, of course, and do your background singing.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, in Memphis, I sang the earliest hits of T.G. Shepherd, and I also sang on Carla Thomas's stuff and some of the Ardent Records, High Records stuff, that was pretty famous in Memphis. And this is my session mascot here. And I also sang posthumously for on Elvis songs because the oxide wore off the edges and they had to replace the background singer parts on that big 2-inch tape, So I got to sing in the Ghetto and Suspicious Minds and things like that. Great. And I sang on an old thing that if you're old enough, you might remember Disco Duck. And I sang on that one for Rick Dees, was a pretty famous DJ back then and had this hit. So and then when I moved to Nashville, I sang on everybody's records that, I was roommates with Janie Fricke, who I'd sung with in Memphis too. And, she got her career going and I sang on some of her records. I sang on Reba's records, Dolly's records, some of them. Most of the people that were recording, in the 80s in Nashville, I was singing on their records. Most of the people that were on the radio. And then one day I was singing background vocals for Ed Bruce, and his producer at the time was a guy named Tommy West, who had decided to move to Nashville because his main artist, Jim Croce, had died in that plane accident. Oh. So we were he was looking for another songwriter to produce. And I had just started writing songs in Memphis before I moved. Didn't really think of myself that much as a songwriter, but he liked what I was doing. And so, he got together with Alan Bernard from LA and Howard Stark from New York, and they started MTM Records and signed me as their first artist. So that came from the background singing as well. And so, I've kept on going. I've even sung on a Dan Arbuck record. So, it was the highest I'd ever sung. I think I sang a D higher than a high C. So it was really high. Are you
a soprano or are you
I'm all of the above,
Okay.
And the funny thing, it's a good question to ask, but the truth is that usually altos, which I can definitely sing alto, I've got a thicker register than the lyric sopranos types. But basses, true basses, can usually sing tenor. There was a guy named Herschel Wigginton that sang on, he was one of the leading members of the background group called the Nashville Edition. And he could sing way as low as you need a bass to sing. He could also sing the tenor part. And sometimes we flipped him. And the same thing with me. Sometimes I could sing the lowest part, but sometimes they would flip it to the highest part because it has to do with the density and size of the larynx, as far as how wide your range is. So a lot of sopranos that can sing up there, they can't sing as low as I can. But the difference is the tone. So a producer might want to, the tone might be right for the record if I'm on top, or it might be right for the record if I'm in the middle or the bottom. So, you just have to be on roller skates if you're doing what I do.
So you can go up and down yourself. That's what you do. Okay, you're going.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, did you take singing lessons, or did you teach yourself pretty much just in singing?
Well, that's a great question. I had 1 year of classical training in college, but I'd sung my whole life. And when I got sick in Memphis when my son was born, I was in the hospital about 3 months. And I lost an octave and a half of my range from an endotracheal tube. And I had to get my own voice back. And so I did, and then some. And then I got to Nashville, and I was still guarded. I got it back, but I was still straining. And so having to push to get some things. So I got with a professional coach named Gerald Arthur that the rest of the session singers that I worked with, a lot of them were using. And he was a pretty famous local guy. And so I got back my whole voice and some voice that I'd never had even. I could sing even higher.
That's phenomenal.
And then after the years rolled on and I started teaching myself, I can now sing higher than I've ever sung in my life and lower. I've got a wider range than I've ever had. So that speaks to the power of very good vocal coaching and also the possibility of healing.
So you were able to not only be taught, but you also were able to do it yourself through practice and hard work. I know I took voice lessons myself in the past, so I know you go up and down the scales. You don't sing with the throat, you sing with the diaphragm. And
you sing, you really should sing from the pelvic floor. And that's one thing that I teach. Instead of, the diaphragm is at the bottom of your rib cage. And instead of singing or speaking, from that area, which a lot of people, they think that's right. You're supposed to sing from the diaphragm. But if you do, you tend to come in there. You tend to tighten there just a little bit. Almost everybody that I've ever taught that thought they should come from the diaphragm has tightened there. And what that does is, it's the diaphragm's connected to the bottom of the rib cage. And when the rib cage comes in a little bit, it gives the diaphragm too much slack and you've lost your breath control. So instead of coming from there, feeling like your breath is coming from here, really need to feel like your breath is coming from your pelvic floor, very athletically, like tailbone. And then you widen your rib cage. So as you give your voice breath support, you also give it breath control, and you end up with a compression power center centered in your pelvic floor.
That's interesting. I was never, I never heard that before. But I mean, a lady I work with, unfortunately, she passed, but she had her own vocal studio, and I used to take lessons. Her name was Rosemary Cardinell, Cardinell Vocal Studio.
Yeah.
And she did a great job. But she also had, her students would, they have the recitals and everything too. And they have somebody play the piano, and they go, different people they might do musicals or, all kinds of different performances they do. But
and of course, the fact is, of course, you do breathe from your diaphragm.
Right.
And some teachers, sometimes it's just semantics. It's like how they teach that. But the main thing is that you don't come in there. You don't power from there. But if they teach it in the way I do, you can use different words, and end up doing the same thing.
Right. Well, it takes practice. It went down the scales. And the breathing and to be able to hold the notes, it takes practice like anything.
Yeah.
So that was quite an experience. But anyway, so you've taken lessons and you've also taught yourself. So you're very able to improvise and you're able to be creative and come up with your own techniques. Yes.
I loved teaching different kinds of singers and speakers, because everybody's different. I might be, just like we talked about with understanding what the diaphragm is, I might say something to someone and I might say the opposite thing to another, according to what their issues are and where I see that the problem is, and it's really a very creative thing to assess where someone is vocally and be able to feel it in my own voice. And I've had vocal damage, so I know how it feels to have your voice hurt, but then to try to come up with the solutions for that. So I love doing that. I'm really especially in love with getting rid of vocal strain for people.
Great. Well, it sounds like you enjoy it. You love what you're doing.
I
you're able to
do.
overcome your own obstacles, and
Right.
you're able to bring it forth. And so it makes you feel good that you can do it for yourself, but also it must be a very rewarding feeling for you to do it with your students.
It is. It means that what I've done in my journey, in the on the road like I've been on the big TV shows and stuff like that, all of a sudden it means something again because it helps people trust me in the first place to see if I can help them. But then that experience has given me the ideas, and I mean, I know what it takes to be in that situation. And so it's like I get to be part of other people's journeys instead of just my own.
That's fantastic. So you get double the reward. You get the reward of
Yeah.
doing what you're enjoying at the same time of helping other people shape their journey and mold and shape their journey and what they want to do. So I think
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about now what kind of music now do you go for? Is it rock? Is it pop? Is it country? Is it folk? Is it gospel? Is it what do they call that? Rhythm and blues, or country, or any of those? Any particular ones that you particularly like, or do you like them all? Or
Well, I teach them all. And
right,
so
you teach them all, but
what I usually say, I mean, I like everything from the Rolling Stones to Andre Bocelli. So
Okay.
that's, James Taylor to Chris Stapleton. What I'm looking for is something that moves my heart.
Right.
I've got my own, for my voice, I tend to love roots music and combine them in different ways, I've always had an affinity for the R&B flavors that I learned in Memphis, but my family grew up in, my mother and father were from rural Mississippi, so I'm very versed in country, in traditional country. But I also love teaching pop and musical theater, which I've written a couple, and things that require the voice. The main thing that I love about music is when, first of all, the lyric or the what that's written about is worth writing about. It's worth me listening to. And second, I love a melody that's interesting. And third, I love a good groove. So I'm a
excuse me,
fan
what
of
was that?
rock and roll.
Excuse me, I missed that last part. You said you love what? I didn't.
I love a good groove.
Oh, groove.
Yeah, my husband was a professional drummer before he retired. And so I'm a fan of drummers, of course, but I love the feel of a good groove. So like I absolutely love Bonnie Raitt. And I love just digging into the soul, and I love the music that gives the voice something to say, and also the melodies that give the voice something to dance with,
Who was your inspiration? Who's your real inspirations that you look up to as far as singing and songwriting? Anybody in particular? Or?
Well, as far as songwriting goes, my mentor was Dave Loggins, who just passed away not all that long ago. He wrote and sang "Please Come to Boston." And when I first moved to Nashville, I probably worked on about 70% of his demos that turned into huge songs, like 18 Wheels and a Dozen Roses, Fast Moving Train, Restless Heart, the Don Williams stuff. I sang on the demo and on the master to Winona's first Step Out song, which was She Is His Only Need. I remember when Dave wrote that. And anyway, he actually signed me. Among the publishing companies I've been with has been his. And I learned a lot about digging a lot deeper in the well, because he wouldn't put up with shallow writing. So, he helped me a ton, and he celebrated the One Way Ticket song that I co-wrote with Keith Hinton. He was very proud of me for that. But I just love his writing. If you look up Dave Loggins, you'll see tons of
Well, I know there was a Loggins in Messina, but that's not the same. I know.
He's actually related to Kenny, but no, like Please Come to Boston was Dave. He also wrote Pieces of April.
Oh, really?
That you might remember.
What about singers now? Is anybody in particular that you look up to for singing and performing?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yes. Celine Dion.
Oh, yeah.
She pulls like I teach pulling, before she got sick. And she's just a perfect representative for what I teach, even though she's not my student. But Celine Dion is huge for me. Andrea Bocelli, oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, that's a classical and opera. Yeah.
And Chris Stapleton, James Taylor.
Wow.
These people, like I say, it's all kinds of different music. But is the song really good, and does the singer speak to the person that the lyric is to in such a way that I feel it,
I see. Now you're a songwriter also. When you write songs now, is it words first or music first? And you probably like to tell a story, I would think, when you do your songwriting, right?
I do, and I've been writing now for decades, and I've written all kinds of different ways. The one thing I didn't do was read a book on songwriting. The way I learned songwriting was dissecting other people's songs. When I was in Memphis, I was with a cover band as well, besides doing jingles in the day, background vocals in the evenings. In the late evenings, I was in a cover band. And we did everything from Brazil 66 to Chaka Khan.
Wow.
So I got to dissect songs and figure out what really was going on. And that's how I learned to be a songwriter. So I've sometimes come from an idea. I really love to come from just, like if I'm co-writing, we'll talk about life or love, and we'll just talk about what's going on in each other's lives, and something will come out of it like, ooh, that'd be good to write about, and just an idea worth writing about. And then sometimes I've written from something I said at a restaurant, like, oh, let's go back to Warner Chapel. I was writing at Warner Chapel at the time, and so was my co-writer. And we were eating dinner across the street, and I said, oh, let's go back to the studio now because we can. And he looked at me and he said, that'd be a good title. So when I got back home, I thought about it, and I called him back and I said, you know what? Let's make it Because I Can. And that became a huge #1 for Leanne Rimes. I've also written from just somebody saying something, and that's the first line of the first verse. And then I've also written, like, my husband was playing this riff one day. We did another album together in 2015, and he was playing this riff, and I was like, okay, what is that saying? And he decided it was saying something like that. And I thought, okay, what the heck is that about? So I ended up writing it, and that went on our album, and it also went into the soundtrack of The Expanse, which is a Canadian sci-fi series. So, I mean, you just write from everywhere, and
you write from experience. But now I didn't get. Is it the music first or the words first as far as the way you create the songs?
Either one, and that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the words are first, or the idea is first.
Oh, okay.
But then what I like to do is go to the piano and touch the piano, which is my main instrument, and then it's like I have words in my fingertips. The words come when my fingers are on the piano. But then I'll leave the piano and I'll go here to my computer to a Word doc, and I'll start writing and editing there. And then when I think I've got a structure, I'll go back to the piano and figure out what's working, what's missing, what's the second verse.
You go back and forth between the piano and computer and different ideas.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
You're able to be resourceful and creative and improvise and come up with different techniques.
Yeah, and sometimes I will go to guitar. I haven't done that in a while, but it makes me write differently. Or if I have a co-writer who writes on guitar, that helps me. I won't even work with the piano. So there's just different ways to skin a cat, and the main thing is to keep it all fresh, and creative, and not to put.
You created a song, a very catchy song called "Come Next Monday." How did you go about doing that?
Well, that was actually written by Pam Tillis.
Oh.
And no, it was written next Monday. Or no, it was written. Was it written by? Yeah, I think it was written by Pam Tillis.
I know out with it recently, but it was recorded a long time ago. I know that.
Yeah, and I recorded it, and Katie Oslin did as well, I believe. So, yeah.
Okay. Very catchy song, like that. Yeah.
And She Thinks That She'll Marry, which was a top 10 Billboard hit for me, was something I started in Memphis when I first started writing songs. I started it in Memphis before I moved to Nashville.
Oh.
But it was probably a couple of years after I started it that I got with a guy named Dwayne Oringer when we finished it. She Thinks That She'll Marry. I had it all except like the bridge or just what happened at the end or something. But anyway, we finished it, and so sometimes it takes a couple of days. Sometimes you can finish a song, pretty much finish it in 3 hours. But sometimes it takes 3 weeks, and sometimes it takes 2 years. It's these babies have different gestation.
Special talent. I have interviewed many people, singers and songwriters, and they take pride in writing the songs just like you do. And it's not just anyone that can do it. It does take a special ability to combine the words and music and put them together so they come together and they make sense,
Yeah, it's just intuitive, kind of. And
I think that's
there's a guy named Jason. Yeah,
Yes.
if you want to study songwriting, the only guy or source that I know to recommend, other than, I work with my clients, my vocal students that are recording artists on songwriting, and I can advise them and stuff as a structure writer myself. But Jason Bloom is a good source. But also dissecting songs that you love. Why do you love them? What is the rhyme structure? What is it about? Who is it talking to? This is something I think you'll find interesting, Johnny. The most important thing about songwriting to me is also the most important thing about the voice. And that is the why. The why for the song, the why for the vocal sound. It's acting technique. It's like you've got to be delivering a message of some kind to one heart, And that heart could be a million people, like the heart of a million people, if you're looking through a camera eye and there's a million people behind it, but just you're really focused on the one heart.
Oh.
And then what you ask yourself is, okay, if I'm really getting this message through, if I'm telling this story in such a way that they're really hearing me and getting it, what response would I want? And so that's why I'm saying it's acting technique. So when you're writing a song, you need to know who you're talking to when you're writing. Might be to the audience, but to the one heart of the audience. What's the message in, between the lines even? What's the message? And then what would that look like in their body language and facial language if it got through? Write like that, speak like that, sing like that. And that's where your voice starts to get valuable.
Interesting. I never heard that before. That's very interesting. Talk to me about now your in your experiences and your performing. If you tell me about your any television performances, radio, podcasts, any theatrical work that you've ever done. Tell me about your experiences.
Well, when I was out as an artist, as an MTM Records artist, I won the ACM, Academy of Country Music Awards, New Female Vocalist Award, and I had a #1 record, Until I Met You, on the radio. So I got on all the top shows, including Johnny Carson.
Really?
The Tonight Show, yeah, a couple of times. And that was such a heady experience. I was on, all the stuff coming out of Nashville Now, and all the rest of those things. And, there's just all kinds of national shows. I was also all over the radio, of course, Billboard. And so I got to go to the radio stations and meet the DJs and talk to them and get to know them a little bit, and do the touring to do that. And I also have my own podcast called All Things Vocal.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. All Things Vocal.
Right.
Yeah, tell me about that. Yeah.
Well, as the name implies, it's about everything you can think of that has to do with the voice, including songwriting, which is another way that you speak, right? So
Right.
I give vocal lessons and interview industry insiders for that podcast. My newest one, I'm just about to finish editing, is the title of it is Pineapple Juice Dangerous for Your Voice? And the answer is almost always no. Almost always it's a miracle cure for your throat, which I'm sipping now.
Well, yeah. Well, it's good usually to keep your voice lubricant. It's good to have, if your voice.
Yeah, it's the bromelain enzyme. Yes, the bromelain enzyme in pineapple.
And gargling with salt, all that stuff helps for colds or to keep your voice from being too hoarse. Right.
Right, and also technique, pulling instead of pushing, so that your breath is balanced. So you've got like a laser beam of breath through your vocal cords rather than a shotgun blast of air.
I see.
And that keeps your voice from drying out too. But the bromelain enzyme in pineapple juice is what does it. As long as you dilute it, and that's what I'm putting in that particular episode. But you dilute it like 3 or 4 parts water, 1 part pineapple juice, and it's great for speakers too. So there's that.
So what out of all the different things you've done, whether it be television, radio, podcasts, or even any theatrical, which are the ones that stand out? You say you were on the Johnny Carson show. That must have been very interesting, the Tonight Show.
Yes,
How'd you go
that
by
was
doing
awesome.
that?
There's the only 2 times I've ever been nervous, because I've been on stage my whole life pretty much.
Right.
The only 2 times I've been nervous was the first time I played the Grand Ole Opry and the first time I went on the Johnny Carson show.
Really?
And I was backstage at Johnny Carson, and the curtain's about to come up and come open and let me come out when he announced me, and I could just feel the presence of all those people that were in that spot before me. And the same thing with the Opry, that little piece of wood, that you could feel almost the ghosts of everybody, Patsy Cline, everybody that was there before me. And it's kind of a reverent place to be, because we have a lot of reverence for the people that came before me. So that was kind of freaky, but I was really surprised that I was nervous, but I was. But let me tell you to jump over something I'm doing now. You mentioned theatrical. I have started writing musicals with a guy named Darren J. Butler, who is in Alabama. We just did reading for one of our musicals called Runaway Home in New York, and Melissa Gilbert played in it, and there were several people from LA that joined people in New York that played in it, and we got 2 big standing ovations from full rooms. So I feel really good about the possibilities for that. But as you know, musicals aren't written, they're rewritten. So we're revising as we speak and hoping to bring that to Broadway, if not next year, the year after. After we, we may take it to London first or something, but it's called Runaway Home. And we've also got one called We the People, which is the Revolutionary War as seen through the eyes of and lives of teenagers of the time, to show how really precarious it was that the nation ever got made at all. And there's death in that one, of course, because if you're doing something for teenagers, there's going to be death involved.
That's it. Well, you've got some very interesting things going on. Now you talk about, a lot of performers, they do have singers and entertainers. They have the nervousness at first, Yeah, it's I guess it's part of it. And naturally, to have a feeling of nervousness, anxiety before your performance. How do you handle the anxiety? And
Oh,
also,
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you asked that. It goes back to what I said is the most important thing about songwriting and using your voice. If you realize that the real job is not to please everybody listening, it's very much acting technique. You're not looking and talking usually to the fourth wall. You're talking to one heart, and you're trying to get a response, a specific response from that one heart. And if you will be the CEO of your brain committee and say, okay, I know all these other voices are going on, but this is what we're doing. It tends to crowd out all of those anxious thinking, that anxious thinking.
I see.
I believe with all my heart that anxiety in performance usually has a ton to do with your lizard brain doesn't know what the job is. It thinks that you're trying to please everybody or be quote unquote good.
Right.
Can you imagine getting on a horse and looking down and saying, horse, move good?
When you talk about pleasing everybody,
you off and go to the barn.
one of the favorite performers, Ricky Nelson, in Madison Square Garden, he was getting booed from the audience because he wasn't singing his earlier popular hits. So he created and came up with a song and performed Garden Party. If you can't please everybody, please yourself. And that's true. Nobody pleases everyone.
Wow, that's cool.
Right. That was a great hit.
No.
But that's a true story. Oh, yeah. You're not going to please everybody.
I'm glad to know that. That makes all the sense in the world.
You remember the Garden Party song? I'm sure you remember it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Ricky Nelson, yeah. He was a teenage heartthrob. Oh, yeah, I grew up with remember the Nelson family and everything. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I remember them well. I sang some of the songs.
Harriet Nelson, oh, yeah. Then he came up with all kinds of different songs.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Now, in life, there's a lot of rejection, but especially in entertainment. And you have to have a thick skin. So if you've ever been, nobody has everything perfect all the time. If you ever had rejection in your life, and especially in this business, entertainment, how do you go about handling that?
Well, I like to say I've failed at everything I succeeded at.
Oh, really?
Except what I'm doing now. Meaning that journey kind of hit a brick wall. Like I got sick in Memphis and my session career stopped for 2 years.
Oh, really?
My whole life was in the studio. And I couldn't do that for 2 years. I had to figure out who I was without my voice.
Wow.
And with a new baby, and my husband, and it was tough. But you got to do it. I had to do it for my family. Okay, right. So then I moved to Nashville and I started doing all the session work, and that's great. And then I become an artist, and I think it's going to go on forever. But then MTM Records got bought by BMG in Germany, and they decided they didn't want a record label. MTM Mary Tyler Moore Enterprises got bought out, and just overnight the label shut down. So all of a sudden I was on top of the mountain, and then I was nobody again. And I had to figure out who I was, and it took a while. It was extremely hard. It broke me, but I had to decide one day, okay, that's not working, so what can I do? Well, I can write songs. I've written some songs, and I've even had some hits. So I started songwriting, and then the next thing you know, I've got One Way Ticket, which was a huge *1 for LeAnn Rimes. But then people weren't cutting what I was writing for whatever reason. So that hit a brick wall too. And so I thought, well, one thing I've always done through most of my life is produced in the studio. I produced my demos, and I've led other singers and groups and done vocal production like crazy all of these years. So, okay, maybe, and I could do some production. And then a girl named Carol Chase, who was had gotten a gig in the background in the touring group with Leonard Skinner. She was an old friend of mine. We had done a bunch of sessions together, and she knew that I knew things about the voice. So she asked me one day to help her hit this note that she was having trouble with on the road.
Well,
So I'm like, how do you think I know? But I did. I gave her a suggestion, and it fixed it. So that made me think, well, maybe I can help singers. So I was already an organic gardener. That's another thing. So I put an ad in the paper for organic gardening and an ad for vocal coaching. Well, guess which one got called? A lot, vocal coaching. So I found out that I was good at it. I found out that because of the decades of work in the voice that I'd done, and and the places I'd been with my voice, that I could kind of diagnose what was going on with a singer pretty quick and fix it and come up with creative solutions. So after a few years of teaching, I noticed that everything I knew about the voice I could fit into 3 categories. One was the breath, which I call power. And the second one was the throat being open or tight, which I call the path, as in the path through an open instead of tight throat. And then the third area was performance, which is that acting technique thing I've been talking about. And if you get your breath right and you get your throat open and you know what the job is, you know who you're talking to and you know what you want back, because that's evidence that you're getting the message through, that's when your voice is the best. So as I began to teach, my students started needing help with songwriting. So I began doing a bunch of writing again. And then they needed a producer. So I started producing people. I started production. And then I just got curious about singing myself again. And my husband and I decided to do another album. And I did, and got to sing my own project again. And so it's just nothing really stopped. Everything affects everything else. Everything, if you don't give up, you might have to let go of that thing for a while, but you'll find out that there's value in that you can bring to the next thing. And,
so what you're saying, I think what you're saying, if something didn't work out, you tried to pivot to something else. And then one thing led to another, and before you know it, you were doing all kinds of other things. Right?
Yeah, and then it all, because I can do one thing, actually helps me do this other thing better.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you turn your scars into stars. That's fantastic. Have you ever auditioned for any kind of role, and you really wanted it bad, and put your over 100% into it, but it didn't work out? You didn't get the role. And if so, how did you handle that?
I haven't.
You never had to
done
audition?
that for
No.
Acting. I've acted in my own musical. And I've taken acting courses enough to realize how much that goes into singing. But I have lost contests. I have, lost contests that I thought I wanted, beauty contests or talent contests or something like that. And that's why I can realistically tell my students, when you go out for to try to win a contest,
Right.
realize your main goal is to create visibility, but don't judge your own talent by whether or not you place in that contest. And if you can do that, then you're safe, with that.
So what you're saying, I agree with you. You can put your tremendous effort into something and end up being ignored and being rejected, but that doesn't mean you don't have talent. It just means what you have. You don't have what they're looking for. That doesn't mean you don't have talent.
Right. You're in the wrong route.
It's like when I auditioned for America's Got Talent, I never heard from them again. Well, I don't have what they want.
Yeah.
Apparently, they want some kind of commercialism, some kind of story, a tremendous talent. I don't know. Maybe they wanted something younger, whatever. But you don't give up. You just do something else.
Right. It's all these television shows that are talent shows, and I've had plenty of people.
I was going to ask you about that too. Yeah. of the different talent shows. There's The Voice, there's America's Got Talent, there's American Idol, or X Factor. What is your opinion of those shows? And if you think
one of my students at Preston James was in all of them. American Idol, The Voice, and America's Got Talent. Yeah, he didn't win because they weren't looking for country, but he is going to be, I guarantee you, he is going to be one of the next big things. Preston James, and Preston James is his name, just remember that. And Jenny Tolman, it also didn't make the cut, but now she's on the new, she didn't make the cut on The Voice, but she's been in People magazine, she's been in the Rolling Stone magazine, and she's now part of the cast of the new CBS talent show that's coming out this fall, I think. So, yeah, those talent shows are just, they're not real. They're like, almost like the wrestling matches. Sometimes they fix things that,
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes it seems to be your fan base they're looking for, not your talent.
Okay.
Is what happens a lot. And you don't really want to win those things because the contracts are terrible.
Right. Well, that's the only thing.
So if you could get some visibility though by getting on the shows,
right,
that's great.
Well, you have to sign a contract and you're owned by them. You can't do your own thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I'm sure it helps some people. Jennifer Hudson's a good example. That lady, even though she was runner-up at American Idol, she didn't stop. They said, well, she's never going to come back. She said, I'll be back. So she auditioned for Dreamgirls, and she aced the audition, and she won it. She won Emmys and Oscars and everything. Phenomenal, with a great voice, and oh boy, I mean, she's won Emmy, Oscar, Grammy, and a Tony. I mean, she won all of them, and now she's hosting a top talk show and everything. It's been renewed again for the third or fourth season.
Awesome.
The Jennifer Hudson show. I mean, I've watched it many times. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She's spectacular. She really is. She's got a great voice, and she's really good. She's good at her job too. She's good at asking the right kind of questions, drawing her people out. And she's very, very positive. She always does this with a heart and everything. In other words, love at the end and everything. And she'll end her show. She'll always say, "I want to thank my guests for being on the show, and for the studio audience for taking the time and putting up with little old me. I'll catch you on the next one. I love you, and I'll be back." It's phenomenal the way she does it.
Well, part of that she is, it can be probably traced back to the things that she wasn't successful at. She learned, we learn incredible lessons when we do hit those brick walls. And without them, we're not going to be as deep people, and we're not going to also be as safe, because in life, you are going to hit a brick wall of some kind. And so the more you hit them and you bounce off and you realize you didn't die doing it, the more you trust the journey, and the braver you get, and the less it bothers you, the less it hurts to hit the brick walls again.
Well, you can't give up, because once you give up, you're finished. That's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a saying: quitters never win, and winners never quit.
Yeah.
I have an original poem I created a long time ago, which goes right along with that. Positive thoughts make you hot. Negative thoughts make you rot. So be hot. Don't rot, or else you'll go to pot, and you'll lose a lot, and you won't be a big shot.
Oh, I love it. So true. Truth.
No, it's true. It's true. So if you don't succeed, try again. You can try. You can be very trying, but you never know. I think you've got to see yourself doing it. You've got to picture it. You've got to have a positive attitude. You have to be persistent, and you got to keep pushing. Remember the song, Frank Sinatra had a song called High Hopes. Remember the guy, the badge, it was like, I think what was it? Some kind of an animal that kept on badgering around. The little ant, remember, just what makes that little old ant, remember? Dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
An ant can. In other words, it never gave up. It just kept pushing along. See?
Right. And also, it's important to know what your enemy is, and that's resentment. It's easy in this in a career in the arts of any kind, it's so easy to get your heart broken. And resentment is your soul's bitter enemy. It's poison.
Right.
And I fell into that for a long time, for several brick walls that I hit. And the thing is, it's totally useless and it only hurts you. And the thing is to let it go, realize, okay, if that's not working, let me be real about it, and then let me move over here and do something that is my journey and to get in the river that I'm supposed to be swimming in instead of that one.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Have you ever had a show that you tried really hard to make a show work, and for some reason, no matter what you did, it didn't quite work? It's called Murphy's Law. If anything go wrong, it can and it will. Has that ever happened to you? And if it didn't, how did you handle something like that?
Well, it's like you got to roll with the punches. Like one time, maybe this is what you're talking about. We were on the road and we were in Phoenix at Mr. Lucky's, I think it was. I was with my whole band. And then we were supposed to fly to Tahoe, where I was supposed to open for Merle Haggard. But the morning that we were supposed to fly, the guy we didn't get our ride. The ride didn't show up, and we had all this equipment, and we had the full band, and this was supposed to be this big thing that was supposed to take us to the airport. So I'm like, oh my God! And we've got tickets for everybody, and we've got this gig that we got to be at, and contracts that were signed. So there's a laundry truck, and we saw, my road manager saw the laundry truck and went, oh, I got an idea. So he went and asked the guy, this truck was real big. He said, can we get to the airport in your van? And so the guy said, sure, but I got to make another stop we got to throw some laundry. And he was picking up laundry from the hotels, bags of laundry. Oh. So for the price of $50 and a signed autograph from me, we went in the back of the van, and then he stopped at the hotel and threw some other bags back with us. But we got to the airport. So you just don't take no for an answer. You just find a way, just find a way.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So on your performances now, okay, so you play the piano. I guess I don't know if you taught yourself, or maybe you took lessons on that. But
I took lessons. Yeah.
You took lessons. Okay. When you had a band in the past, I assume you don't have a band now, right? You're solo? No,
I'm so busy. I'm so busy working on other people's stuff that I don't. The only time I play out at this point is virtual, like cloud rounds, I call them. That said, I may look into I'm thinking about doing some public speaking / like keynote concerts. So in future, I may be doing that. But another thing I'm doing right now is I'm recovering from a fall last September where I broke my neck, 2 vertebrae in my neck, my sternum, my wrist, and 2 vertebrae in my back.
Wow, what a fall.
And I didn't, so I am just waking up every day so grateful that everything moves. I've got no problems there. I lost about 30 pounds, but little by little, I'm gaining all that, trying to gain some of that back anyway. And I'm walking my little dog 2 miles a day.
Well, that's wonderful.
Things like that. So, and I'm back to working full time. I just finished producing 12 songs on a rock Americana artist. So I'm back working and doing the stuff that I love. But I'm definitely not going out doing shows myself right now.
I see. You've had many experiences. You've been on television shows and different things. What is your most the most unique one that stands out? The most exciting ones you've ever had that really worked out well? You got a great applause. You were successful at it. Is there any particular that you remember?
Austin City Limits. Oh my gosh, was such a blast. And the people didn't know me that well, but by the time we got to the end of the show, I got 2 standing ovations from them.
That's fine.
And so they're sweet audiences at Austin City Limits anyway, but that was a blast. And another one that was a real blast was a place on the East Coast. It was a little venue, like maybe 1,000 people or something like that. Ann Arbor, I think, Michigan. Or not Ann Arbor. Where was it? Anyway, up on the East Coast, I think. And I was singing, and my son was sitting with a sound man who was positioned in the middle of the crowd of the venue, like in the middle of the people. And my little son, my singing competed with my attention to him, so he wasn't a fan of me as a singer. But he saw the audience loving my stuff, and then I sang a song that I wrote for him called Heart of a Gentleman, and he saw the audience respond to that. And all of a sudden, he decided that my singing was okay. He liked.
I see.
He
Okay.
was impressed. I think that meant the world to me.
That's phenomenal. I'm glad that went. So those are great experiences. When you do your shows now, do you do any audience participation? If so, how do you get the audience to participate? I assume that you're singing and backing yourself up with your piano, right?
Yes, when I do sing, I do that, and I used to do a lot of writers' rounds. I haven't so much done that since the pandemic, but I used to do a lot of acoustic shows like that. And it's easy for me to work an audience because I have this innate knowledge that I'm speaking to one heart. If you see Garth Brooks perform or Bono perform,
right,
it's like he makes everybody in the venue think or feel like he's just there for them. And I that's what I do. I treat everybody as in the audience as the one, and then I get them. I'm interested in them, and I'm interested in them. I'll ask them. I'll say something funny, or I'll ask them something funny, or I'll tell them a story, and then I'll say, "Think about this." Just something to interactively engage them in the songs that I'm singing.
So you're able to, you have different techniques you're able to use to get their attention. You ever had a show where the people look like they're dozing off, they're really bored? If so, how do you deal with that?
Yes, that's funny that you say that, because that goes back to the audience. That if it's not your audience, you could do the Olympic event vocally and musically,
right,
and they would still be just giving polite applause. But if you're in front of the right audience, the audience that is right for your material,
right,
then you could have laryngitis and still get a standing ovation. I know, because I've done both.
So
I had a show.
You've never had an experience like that where they looks like they're just bored and they're dozing off?
Well, it's not that they were dozing off, it's that they were still, And what it was in the middle of the day, and I think I was opening for George Jones or something somewhere on a Sunday in the middle of the day. And so the audience, I think they were afraid for anybody else to see them very excited or something. I don't know. But yeah, and it kind of broke my heart, because I knew that I did well. I knew that I sang and performed particularly well for them. But I learned from that. Don't let the audience, make me judge what I'm able to do, my talent or my abilities.
Right.
Try to reach them, but you can try to reach them. But the cool thing is, even if you don't reach that audience, somebody might be out on the side of the place hearing you. That's somebody in the industry, and they hear you and move your career forward. That's happened to several artists that I work with. And so Minnie Pearl gave me this advice one time backstage at Nashville Now when this Minnie Pearl was on. She said, we were talking about, crowds. And she said, if it's 2 people or if it's thousands, I perform the same way.
So if that happened, then if that did happen to you before, then exactly how did you respond, and how did you handle such a situation so that way it didn't affect you so? I mean, it may have bothered you a little bit, but how did you handle
it did.
and work through it? That's what I mean.
Well, it did bother me then because I hadn't had that experience much, but it doesn't now. It stopped bothering me because I realized that truth, that was just not the right audience. Right. It wasn't me. And so I don't even blame them. You know, I don't have to get mad at them. I still am as friendly as I could be. I'm still signing autographs after the show, and, you know, selling merch and stuff like that, and being friendly.
That's another thing I was going to ask you too. On your shows, do you take photos, sign autographs, do meet and greets? You do all that?
I did do all that. I, you know, have like I say, that was pre-pandemic. And that wasn't a problem. So I definitely did all that. Yeah.
And that must have been that must have been a very fun and rewarding experience, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's freaky that people want you to put your name on something they just bought. I'm like, I'm honored that you bought it.
Well, yeah.
But what's been rewarding for me is in years since, people that remember me back then and remember my music from back then, the MTM records, they remember it joyfully. And they remember me as someone who made them feel good and feel like I liked them, you know. So I like the fact that I was able to leave good on the trail, you know, that I was on. And that's what I recommend to my students as well, you know. Leave a good trail.
Oh, yeah. Blaze those trails. Leave a happy, positive trails going forward.
Yeah. Yep.
Entertainment trails, of course. You're doing the right thing. Now, have you? Okay, as far as crowds now. Okay. First of all, do you prefer original or do you prefer cover songs? And also, another question is, do you like them equally, or what about your crowds? Large crowds or small crowds?
I don't like doing cover songs. And the reason is I feel like I'm going backwards when I do that. Because I was in a cover band for, 7 years in Memphis? Oh. And I did all the covers you could possibly think of. And I love creating new. I love coming up with new stuff. That's my jam.
I see.
That said, I Can't Make You Love Me If You Don't by Bonnie Raitt, I'll sing that all day long. If it's a great song, I can do that, but not many. I'm not really a big fan of covers. Okay. And as far as crowds, I do like, my favorite crowds were like 5,000 seaters that were like in the round theaters, where I was in the center and everybody was around me and I could see them. I can interact with them better. I learned, that said, when I'm in a stadium, when I would perform in a stadium, I learned a cool trick. And that is because it's easy to literally be a deer in the headlights. You know, you've got the lights coming at you, you can't see anybody, and it's hard to connect the way you can if you really see somebody. So what I did one time is, and I sent somebody out into the audience to see if it worked, and they reported back that it was unbelievable how well it worked. I take an atom in the whiteness of the spotlight, and like I'm interacting with an animated character, and I interact with that little spot like it's real. And they said, and I put that spot sort of in where the general vicinity where I think the chairs are, or the people are. And apparently, when I did that, everybody in that area thought I was looking straight at them.
Really?
So it works. But you just got to connect, you know, like a laser beam to somebody, because singing to everybody listening, you're a flashlight beam, and a flashlight doesn't cut butter. A laser beam can cut a diamond. Oh, really? Wow. You have your own techniques, and they work for you. Yeah, they do. They work for you. Now, have you entered any festivals or music contests? And if so, did you win any awards or prizes at all? Well, the Academy of Country Music Award for New Female Vocalist, I won Billboard New Artist of the Country Artist of the Year. I won and Cashbox at the time. You know, I've got it on my website. I'm not remembering right now, but of course got the #1 record for. I've got a BMI. They called it a Millionaire Award, which means it got over 1 million airs,
Wow.
and things like that. So yeah, I've won a few.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's something to be proud of. It is.
Yeah. And I've also won Vocal Coach of the Year, and from a couple of different places. So
that's phenomenal.
Like National Vocal Coach.
Now, with your students, you do okay. Like when I took my lesson, okay, it's interesting. Well, may she rest in peace. My Rosemary Cardinell did say she should have had me. It was a recital for her students. I was invited just as a guest to watch it, even though I was a student at first. I wasn't in the actual show. And before she passed, she just said I should have had you on. Well, of course, could have, should have, would. It was too late. But but anyway, she did have a very interesting recital. I mean, there were show tunes and musicals, and there was somebody playing the piano, and she rented a hall. It was in Sherman Oaks.
Wow.
And she had refreshments and everything. So it was very interesting. Do you do recitals also for your students?
I used to.
Okay.
And you know, I've had artists that became very big that were my students and that performed there. And I would play piano for some of my students, and I wouldn't put anybody on that wasn't ready though, because it would be embarrassing for them to, you know, and they weren't quite ready. But it was a lot of fun to do, and we had I did it at a dinner theater, and so they brought their families and friends, and we had dinner, and then I performed at the end of the show.
Oh, great.
And so it was just really a wonderful experience. I don't do it anymore because I mostly teach over Zoom internationally, and so I can't convene my students in one place.
Oh, I see. I got you. Yeah, Zoom is important. I'm going to, you know.
Yes. Thank God for Zoom. Yes.
Thank goodness for that, because you can't always be close to somebody. So this way you can reach out from a distance. Right. That's real good. Yeah. Now, you told me, I think you've told me you've been on tour in the past. Describe your touring experiences, and what were your favorite venues, and where did you go, and what were your favorite ones that?
Well, like I say, the in the rounds where I was in the, you know, the stage turned, and that everybody was around me, because I could interact with people better. I like that a lot. I also really loved the stadium. I loved the stadium. One story I'll tell you was one of the biggest shows I ever did was Farm Aid 1 and Farm Aid 2. And so I was on Loretta Lynn's bus. Her manager was my manager. And so she was supposed to introduce me after she performed, and she forgot to introduce me.
Oh.
And so I had to decide if I was gonna like duck and cover, or just get up there in front of 60,000 people and introduce myself.
Wow.
And I decided on the second thing, and did, and it went extremely well. And so I actually got back on the Farm Aid tour, the next one. But while I was out in Farm Aid 1, as I was coming back into Loretta's bus from the stage, which went really well, like I was talking about, there was a guy on the back of a truck, and it was raining, so, you know, all wet and everything. And the head of the label, Alan Bernard, one of the heads of the labels, was walking me back to the bus. And a guy was in the back of a truck, and he yelled out, "Judy Rodman, I love your music," you know. And so Alan looked at me and he said, "Do you know who that was?" And I said, "No." And I just said, "Thank you," you know. Apparently it was Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan? Legendary.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, and so when we got back to Nashville, Bob sent Tommy West 5 songs for me to consider cutting. So I recorded I'll Be Your Baby Tonight, which became another top top 10 Billboard hit for Dylan. So that was an interesting show.
That's interesting. So where have you traveled on your tours? What countries have you traveled? What is your favorite
The
venue?
one thing I didn't do that I'm so sorry that I didn't do was travel internationally. My label was kind of a boutique label and it had limited funds. So all I did was travel nationally. Yeah, so I didn't get to I was played internationally, but I didn't go do the shows across the sea.
So they were local travel, just local.
Well, national, from just United States.
Oh, yeah. United States
and Canada is
Okay. So what parts of the United States would you say you traveled in to?
Oh, everywhere from I performed everywhere from California to New York to Texas to Florida and all the places in between. I performed all over the place.
Now, which was your favorite venues then? Is there any one or more than one?
Well, this was an interesting one. One of my favorite venues was called Mud Island in Memphis. It's called Mud Island.
Wow.
And I was opening for Reba. And this was in Memphis, right?
Right.
So I got these incredible flowers, this incredible bouquet backstage, and looked, and it was from one of my surgeons that had worked on me when my son was born, and I almost died. He sent me flowers. I had come such a distance from, almost dead to opening for Reba at Mud Island. So that was another wonderful story. Yeah.
That's great.
And of course I loved the state fairs and but I mostly loved the places the sound was good at, like the stadiums. I remember I opened for George Strait in El Paso and got a standing ovation after 20 minutes of opening. And so, the sound was good.
So you liked the El Paso one, and what was the other one that you said you liked?
What did I just mentioned? The one.
Something with your son? Okay.
Another show that was really fun was Fanfare, because that was when, Fanfare here in Nashville. It was great. It was a big deal back then. I mean, it's a big deal now, but it was raining and my mic was getting wet, and I didn't think about it. So I'm holding the mic in the rain, just having a blast, and the crowd's really into it. They're under their umbrellas, but they're loving me being all wet and singing to this mic and everything. Meanwhile, I'll look over to the side and Alan Bernard is there, like, get up, because I could have gotten electrocuted, from the water in the mic. I don't know. I just loved every place I played. I loved the road. I loved the smell of
you liked El Paso, you liked Nashville, I guess you like all.
Yeah. Nashville. We had a place called Starwood. That was what it was. A big kind of stadium amphitheater place that is not there anymore. But I opened that up. I did the first show. I opened with the Nashville Symphony, and so that was great fun.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be your largest audience, and what would be your smallest audience that you ever performed for?
Well, the largest one was definitely the 60,000 people at Farm Aid, unless it's the millions of people behind.
Is that the one? That's the one where you had to introduce yourself.
Yeah, that's the one I had to introduce myself. Yes.
Yeah, that was so large. The 60,000.
I think I went on after Foreigner. Or Loretta went on. It's either that or Foreigner went on after us. I can't remember, but that was a big big show.
I see. Well, that took a lot of courage and guts to do that, because if they're not interested in you, you don't want to. Who are you? So naturally, you're going to have to say who you are.
Oh yeah, 60,000 people booing you off stage would have been a traumatic event.
Yeah, you don't want that. That's for sure. What's the least amount of people in crowd that you perform in front of?
Well, I've done writers' nights where there weren't that many people, but a small venue that I really enjoyed and sang a lot at for a few years is the Bluebird here in Nashville.
Oh.
And that holds about 400 people or so.
So that's probably the smallest crowd that you've had, 400 people? Okay.
No, the smallest crowd would have been maybe at another writer's event. I can't think right now about what the smallest audience was, but I would hope that I would have performed the same.
Right, I got you. Now you produced many songs and also albums. How many singles and albums have you produced throughout your career?
Oh Lord, I've probably produced thousands of records.
Really?
As far as albums go, and a lot of those records were my demos and other people's demos. But right now I've got an artist that I produced named Tiffany Hassaker, who has got like 3 Josie Award nominations for that production. And I just finished the 12-song production for the rock Americana artist, and I'm working as a vocal producer, which I love doing, with a guy named the artist name is Vademey. I think that's the way you pronounce it, but he's in Germany, Vademey, and so we just finished a couple of his singles over Zoom. I'm producing his vocals, and so I just do a few productions a year.
Oh, you do. What is a typical day as a singer and songwriter? And you can even tell me a typical day even as a vocal coach too.
Well, every day is so different that without my Google Calendar, I'm pretty screwed. I don't know where I am.
I see.
Every day is different. But I don't take tons of vocal lessons, so that when I do give vocal lessons, it's quality. But like a given week, I'm doing vocal lessons, I'm working on my podcast, writing it or filming it or editing it. And I am writing songs as well. Right now I've got to work on another musical that my partner has written that he's sent me as another chore. So there's no typical day for me, except that I get up in the morning and walk my little dog, and then come back and eat breakfast and start the day when I look at my calendar.
You're busy. You don't have time to be bored. A busy person, a happy person, right?
Yeah.
And you still love what you're doing.
I love what I'm doing.
Mind, body, heart, and soul into what you're doing. I can tell by talking to you.
Yeah.
I
love the people I work with too. Yeah.
Great personality, nice smile. You love what you're doing. You have a very, very, very interesting. That's for sure. Let me think now. Well, let me ask you. Who would you want to ask you? You mentioned about open up for people. Is there anybody in particular that you'd like to collaborate with, or open up for?
Oh, that's a good question. Everybody I want to collaborate with. The funny thing about the collaborating with, that's kind of political these days.
I see.
And I'm like, life's too short for me to be that political. I want to collaborate with the next big thing. I want to be on the ground floor of the next big thing, instead of jumping on the bandwagon of something already rolling.
That
So
makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
I did the first background session that Keith Urban ever did. He did a Bluebird show, and I was in the background group for that. And we rehearsed at his house, and he couldn't get arrested. They could care less, and he's pretty much doing mostly what he's doing now. He just had to be. It had to be at the right time. The audience had to get ready for who Keith Urban is. But he sounded a lot like he sounds now. So I've got some students that I think are just right on the cusp of the big lights. And that's going to be my joy, is to know that I was on the ground floor of helping them up.
Fantastic.
And yeah.
Anybody you want to open up for? You told me you opened up for other people in the past. Anybody in particular you want to open up for now?
I don't think so. I think that if I do shows in future, I get back to doing some shows. If I do writers' rounds, I do want to be with writers I particularly love. I love their music. I don't, everything I do, every show that I do and have done ever, I want it to be an event, like something special.
That makes sense.
But then I like doing my own thing too. That's why I'm thinking the keynote concert might be what I gravitate towards as I get back, singing on publicly.
I see.
So.
Well, you also you wear many hats. You do, you're a Judy of different trades, right? Many trades, wearing many hats. You also do speaking. Talk to me about any speaking experiences that you've done.
Yes, I do speaking on, most of my speaking is about the voice and also about vocal careers and also about songwriting. Like I give presentations for Toastmasters, for songwriting associations, and for indie organizations like Indie Connect that have singers and speakers that need technical information about their voice. So that's what I do mostly. But I can also speak to life surviving the brick walls and put that together with some vocal information too, and creation, like advice about creating and getting in that creative flow. That I think I can wrap it all up, and I've got this idea for a keynote concert that I think could be pretty cool. So that's to be done. Right now, I'm in the middle of mainly hoping that Runaway Home gets to Broadway. That's my big thing right now.
What is you do so many things. What is your favorite? What do you prefer doing? Is there anything that you prefer doing more than anything? I mean, like you produce music, you write music, write songs, in-person performances, speaking, or your podcast, or even vocal coach. Is there any one out of them all that you feel is the best, your favorite of all?
You know what?
Or is
I
it
hear
all
you.
life?
And I've thought about I've been asked that before, and I've thought about what you said. The truth is, I would be bored doing any of the one, any one of them.
Right.
Doing all of them helps me stay fresh for all of them. And what I really love is what I'm doing right now.
What you're doing right now. Okay. So you're not saying that
Whatever it
in-person
is.
performances is your favorite, writing music isn't your favorite, or producing music in between, or writing songs, or podcasting, or your vocal coach. You're not saying any one particular thing is your favorite. You're saying you love them all, but you like what you're doing now.
I like the diversity that I'm doing different roles. I absolutely live in the studio, but I also live on stage, and I also live to take somebody's voice to the next level, quickly, or fix something that's been bugging them or hurting them, that kind of thing. So I'm really grateful. I live a good life. I mean, I'm really happy.
You're a happy camper, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, let me ask you then, if you had to do anything over again in your life and your career now, Judy, would you be doing anything differently?
I would. I wouldn't waste time with resentment. That's the biggie. Yeah. And I also wouldn't have trusted certain people. I've also, another lesson that you learn as a creator, all creators have a really strong child part of them, and that's very vulnerable. And so it's, I've learned to see, or to try to see what really is instead of what I wish it could be, or wish it would be, or wish it was.
So you would have done something. You would have done it differently. You wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have trusted certain people.
I got you. Well, you live and learn, right? Okay.
Yes, live and learn.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have now, Judy? Do you have any present projects that you're truly, really working on that are really important to you?
Yes. Runaway Home, I believe, will be a legacy thing for me. It's a pop musical about runaways that ran away for really good reasons and get together and actually save each other. And it speaks to the importance of community and of hope, that no matter what the situation is, just look for the helpers, as Mr. Rogers used to say. And I love the music that I got to do for it. Like I say, Melissa Gilbert, Michael Park, and Abigail Breslin, they were on in just the reading of it. And so I'm looking for that to be a legacy thing for me.
Great.
But also, I'm also looking forward to doing a lot more, actually, vocal production globally, because I do love the studio so much. That's going to be an ongoing focus of mine, because that's vocal coaching goes into vocal production. But there's so many people now that do home studio vocals, it's cheaper for them, and it's also, they've got control. Even Tim McGraw has a home studio that he likes to do his final vocals in. Well, I can join people over Zoom and help coach them to get the magic in their vocals, so that they don't have to do that without a vocal producer, and I can help them do it faster, healthier, and better. So that's what I'm hoping next era to do a lot more of.
That's something to look forward to. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Do you have any projects in the future, any future dream projects that you haven't done that you'd really want to do in the future that would, you think would be very exciting for you?
I want to, again, back to Runaway Home.
Okay.
I want to travel and see Runaway Home done in London.
Okay.
That's my dream. My dream projects really are in my head. I mean, I'm not thinking unless it's the keynote concert thing that is a dream that might be more future than even Runaway Home. That could be possible too.
I got you. Also, Judy, how can people find out more about you? Tell me the links. Entertainment website, Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn, imdb.com page, YouTube channel. Tell me all the links so people have.
Well, I've got all of that, and you can find almost all of it at JudyRodman.com. There it is. And while you're there, anybody who speaks or sings that's listening to this or watching this, while you're there, be sure and get the vocal health tips that I have. There's 9 pages, and you can just sign up for them, and they're free. And they really will help your voice. So,
great. So they shouldn't have any problem. They shouldn't have any problem finding you. You have a YouTube channel, right? Facebook page, all that?
I do, and there are links to all those. And on my YouTube channel, I have a lot of free vocal lessons, so you can definitely want to check that out. Yep.
Any Instagram, any Spotify, you have all that too?
I do. I've got Instagram. I will have Spotify. I'm finally going to put the music my husband and I did on Spotify, because we didn't stream it. We were just going to sell it, and like it got in some sync stuff, but
And
I'm not
LinkedIn,
going to do it on Spotify.
LinkedIn and IMDb.com, right? You have that too? Oh,
I do. I think I have a presence there because of the stuff I've done. Yeah.
great, great. You got it all covered then. People shouldn't have any problem finding you then.
LinkedIn for sure, and
Fantastic.
Facebook, and
YouTube
but all
channel,
those links are on my
your
home
website,
page.
right? That shouldn't have any
Right.
problem. Okay, Judy. Anyway, here's the time that people, I think, have highly anticipated. We've all been waiting for. This is showtime now on the Amazing Rip Johnny Blaze Show, presenting original vocal stylings of this Judy Rodman. And so we're gonna go away. We have a first song coming up. Come next Monday.
Oh yeah.
Not come next Tuesday. Come next Monday.
Next Monday.
All right, let's go for it and have a wonderful, blazing, and amazing time, ladies and gentlemen.
Come next Monday, going to bed early. Won't talk dirty for a week or two. Going on a diet and just like sugar. Come next Monday, I'm giving up you. X-ray shows some excess baggage. Too much work for a heart to do. Self-denial's never easy. Come next Monday, I'm giving up you. I'm giving up you. I'm giving up all her. Giving it all I'm worth. All I'm worth, all I'm worth. Come next Monday, I hope I'm stronger than some of the Mondays I've been through. Temptation Tuesday might be silent. Come next Monday, I'm giving up you. Giving up you. I'm giving up all her. Giving it all I'm worth. All I'm worth, all I'm worth. Come next Monday, going to bed early. Won't talk dirty for a week or two. Going on a diet and just like sugar, honey. Come next Monday, I'm giving up
Bravo, bravo! What a beautiful song! What a nice, relaxing.
Thank you.
song.
Thank you.
Come next Monday. Yeah, it has such a nice tone to it. It's relaxing. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
All right. As we keep blazing forward, Judy Rodman, we have for your entertainment delight now. We have one more song. It's called "Do You Make Love as Well as You Make Music?"
Oh my goodness, you really dug into stuff. I love it. You
Yes,
dug
we're
into
going to go for that too. Have a blazing hot fun time, ladies and gentlemen.
Here I am again, watching you weave magical trails of melody. This song takes me higher, next song brings me down. When they start, I feel my heart getting lost in the sound. Do you make love as well as you make music? Are you the one you seem to be? Oh, how I long to know as I watch the show. Couldn't you fall in love with me? Are you a shoulder to lean on or a back to be turned? Are you frozen December, fire that burns? Is there somebody waiting for you to come back home? Or is there room for someone who'd like to get you alone? Do you make love as well as you make music? Are you the one you seem to be? Oh, how I long to know as I watch the show. Couldn't you fall in love with me? Well, the evening is over, it's the last song tonight. When you pour out your soul, you make it alright. And every time I hear you, I fall in love again. And as you go, I still don't know if it's the music or the man. Do you make love as well as you make music? Are you the one you seem to be? Oh, how I long to know as I watch the show. Couldn't you fall in love with me? Oh, how I long to know as I watch you go. Are you for real or just like me?
Bravo, bravo. Yes. Do you make love as like you make music? What a song. What
Little
a
art
catchy
song, man. I can't believe you picked that one out. Yeah, that was I wrote that one.
I love
And,
it. Blazing hot and awesome. Yeah. Very,
cool.
very
Thank you.
Judy. Judy, I want to thank you very much for being a guest on the Amazing Rich Johnny Blaze Show. I found you very entertaining and fun. The time has gone by fast. You are tremendous. You're really blazing those, continue to blaze those trails in entertainment. You do it all. You name it, you do it.
Put me in, coach. I don't need a helmet.
No. Anyway, so
Thank
as
you.
I get ready, pardon me? Oh,
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
it's been my pleasure too. Thank you. I've enjoyed it very much. Every bit of it. Okay. Anyway, I always say to all my, as I'm ready to wrap up the show and close the show, I always say to all my fans and friends, always keep a smile on your face and a song in your heart. And until next time, happy trails and blaze out.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to be a guest on an entertainment talk show, please send us an email at amazingjbshow@gmail.com. All of our episodes will appear on YouTube and Facebook and receive over 3,000 views. Don't forget to sign up for our YouTube channel, and every guest will receive a complimentary DVD of their appearance on the show. Remember, we are much better than a podcast. And now, the amazing, original Johnny Blaze has just left the building. Good night. God bless.